Looks like we are live.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
hello
Hello,
everyone.
everybody. Nice to see you. First of all, that I wanted to say, if you join to watch us on via community platform, I will recommend you to rejoin directly to YouTube because we see only comments on YouTube and won't see your comments on via community platform. And if we can see comments, we can answer your question if you ask your question on via community platform. So mm,
Be
I
aware of
can
that
provide the
and
link.
switch to YouTube.
Yeah.
At least when you would like to comment something.
Yeah, and one more comment. We didn't prepare to this talk because me and Michael was really a bit loaded, overloaded, and that we decided just to go um, as a
You were also loaded, man. We just discussed your funny stories from today. Yeah.
Okay. So, but uh, Flutter team provided to us like short options of slides that what happened on Flutter Forward. I a little bit improved them, and we decided to go through the slides with a short like description what was there. Uh, could you like raise your hand if you already watched Flutter Forward keynotes? Let's check how many people already watched. And if you still haven't watched it, I
Then you
have.
should like this video.
But you also can watch keynotes afterwards. Here is QR code that if you follow this, we will go to YouTube to the recording of keynotes of Flutter Forward. But if you even haven't heard about Flutter Forward, this is a big conference that took place in the end of January of this year and in Nairobi, Kenya. And there, the Flutter team announced a lot of news regarding Flutter and a lot of interesting things. Yeah. And today we
News
will,
and generally features of Flutter which we can expect.
yeah. And one of us who was there in person had opportunity to discuss all these improvements and news directly with Flutter team. Yeah, try to guess who it was, and yeah, and I have proofs. I have proofs.
You have photos.
Yeah, yeah. It's photo
I,
that was
I I
made.
expected some photos from after party where you discuss the Flutter features.
Yeah, I have, but I haven't added it to the slides, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. But I can show you later. Yeah, I can prove that I was there really. Yeah, if you can see the team sniff and dash
You
on the.
you are on the right or the on the left in this photo.
Not sure. The
Okay.
photo are very dark. Yeah, that's enough like fun. Let's discuss serious things. So the first slide is about how Flutter is good solution, how many developers already use it, how many uh, applications already published with Flutter, and how many brands use it, and one more information that wasn't added to the slide, that Flutter also third in rating of most contributed open source projects at all. And the first place is VS Code. I don't remember the second. Flutter is third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the next slide. Yeah. What exactly was announced on this conference? First of all, it's Flutter 3.7 and kind of improvements that was added to Flutter. Support of material-free, adaptive layout, menu bars and cascading menus, impeller, iOS release validation, DevTools improvements. Some of these points we will discuss in details. Yeah, but some of them we won't. For example, menu bars and cascading menu is just improvement for desktop Flutter application. Adaptive layouts, some new widgets that have opportunity to adapt to the size of application, also for desktop support and web support.
But
Material
it
free.
also includes some improvements comparing to the previous uh, layouts and widgets.
But I didn't have opportunity to check such improvements yet, unfortunately. Did you have?
A little bit, but generally, okay, it's less fight with the multi-platform support, but still, I think that when we, for example, address mobile and desktop web, we need to do some splits. So still, some work is needed, but a little bit less.
Mhm. Okay, but I have one improvement for this slide because since that time, Flutter got five hot fixes. Uh, I think it's they wanted to get new version as soon as possible, just to announce it in the end of February, and some bugs they had to fix very fast. That's why already five hot fixes after in January during 1 month.
But it also shows that this is really active project, yeah. So when something is broken, they are fighting with that. So it's really good.
And very fast fighting. Yeah. So also they announced direction uh, in which they wanted to like improve and develop Flutter in the future. And yeah, you can see the four main directions: breakthrough graphics performance, seamless integration web and mobile, early to new emerging architectures, and continued focus on developer experience. Yeah, and discussing breakthrough graphic performance, I'm absolutely sure that you already heard this word, impeller. Have you heard, Michal?
Of course,
And
generally quite nice,
do you know
quite
what
nice.
exactly means impeller in not a Flutter context?
Uh, a little bit, but generally right now it's only in Flutter context. So
To
new
be honest,
graphic engine.
I heard this word first time in Flutter context, and then I Google it. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, this is such things like a kind of
like
propeller, but not
impeller.
propeller. Not propeller, but impeller. Yeah,
Yeah,
opposite of propeller. Um, Propeller works outside, impeller works inside of tube.
yeah,
Yeah, and impeller is a new graphic uh, rendering engine, mm, uh, which was implemented exactly for Flutter needs because they really needed mm, to improve work with shader compilation. And you probably remember the shader compilation error and
yeah.
hotfixes and with impeller this kind of error will gone. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all.
generally Skia was or is still, let's say, good, but and sometimes the improvement there is even better than the native ones, I can say. Uh, but uh, but this change was required. I'm really sad this is right now only for iOS, but expecting that this was the goal, to address uh, the platform which they don't control at all first, and then switch to Android and others, which
Mhm.
are, let's say, more open for custom changes.
Yeah, you can see the difference of FPS on Skia and on Impeller of this kaleidoscopia example. I tried to find this example in open source just to check and demonstrate you it on iPhone, but I haven't found. That's why we have only video. But I believe, yeah, that's really less than the 60 FPS average of such complicated animations, and then 9 or 10 FPS on Skia. Yeah, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, as uh, Michael mentioned, it's still experimental and work only for iOS. As for Android and for web, it's not working. And if you want to try it on iOS, you have to add enable Flutter command
Uh,
and
and
check.
if I correctly remember, we have the full parity of the previous, comparing to the previous engine for the iOS. Am I right, Alexander, or some other thoughts?
Uh, Sorry, I didn't catch your question. I
Uh,
just
okay.
concentrated on video. Could you repeat?
Okay. So I was asking about the parity of the features between Impeller and Skia. So we probably have it already full in full parity for iOS, because
I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't checked.
okay, because they
I
mentioned
wanted, I
that.
really wanted to do it before today, but I didn't have a chance. That's
Yeah.
why.
Okay. Good.
Mm,
Good. Good.
Probably.
But
I
generally,
will.
you can try Impeller on your own on iOS and see the difference.
Yeah, that's it that I wanted to do today. Yeah, but uh, I think it's a really nice improvement, and they implemented for Android as well, and we will have much more performance on all devices in the future.
But
But now, yes, you
let's
can
say
try, guys, folks, to check it on your own iPhones if you have iPhones.
yeah.
If you don't have iPhones, you have to wait next improvement.
also, let's say in case of iOS, if we are thinking about the impeller, or maybe not, even not in case of iOS, but we can think about the impeller and Skia. And generally, Skia was created mostly for these 2D UI, which we have for mobile applications mostly. Impeller give us a little bit more, which we will probably discuss on the next slides. But it shows that Flutter is addressing something which is totally missing feature for now. So to do anything in 3D, for example, we usually need to add some implementation which is platform specific. Right now, we can think
Mhm.
that we can create everything in Flutter. So,
Yeah,
what do you think,
I tried.
Alexander?
I tried to execute this example. You see, there is a link to example, Flutter Scene example. I tried to launch,
Mhm.
but uh, uh, yeah, I wasn't successful because such functionality works on the now master channel, and probably there mm, were added some changes after which
Mm.
this example can be launched. Yeah, but probably if I find the exact revision, I will run it. But I didn't have time for it. Probably later, or just wait when this functionality will be moved from master channel to somewhere else. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you haven't seen uh, keynotes from conference. If you see it, TeamSnip demonstrated video of, or not team, I don't exactly remember who demonstrated. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
can agree that this is blowing feature, and from use cases for Flutter, I can say that each improvement which they provide shows that the areas where the Flutter was, let's say, not the best or not applicable at all, they are trying to address this, like 3D. Then we can say about the web improvements, or maybe not improvements. This is the plan for future, because it's not yet in this version, but huge improvement coming also for the Flutter web, which is right now, in my opinion, a little bit more for internal web pages than for something which we have publicly available because of, let's say, huge blob. But but they may address the performance of the web really, really well. Same here. We haven't had the 3D, and as we see, we have it. So another case was addressed.
yeah, but it's not everything regarding graphic performance, because
Mm-hmm.
impeller it was mostly for about mobile, but
Mm-hmm.
web it's also got a big improvement because they added experimental support of web shaders. And here you can see some examples that was implemented by people from community. Here you can find Twitter handles of them, and you can find these demos in their repositories. But looks very very nice. And if you go for this link, that in right top corner, yeah, there are also like some uh, example of demonstration how it works with web shaders, and it's really work fast and nice. Yeah, looks like Flutter increasing performance and work with graphics more and more every version.
Exactly, and I I think that is a way to go for Flutter, because they start with that. They choose Dart because this is the language is the best for the UI. If we are thinking about the other languages, generally Dart was created to play with the UI. Then they focus on the number of the FPS, and right now they are focusing on other things, improving the graphic engine, improving that stuff. So the platform which can be pixel perfect not only for mobile but for all platforms with
Yeah,
really nice
we
effects and
discuss new
animations.
platforms as well later. Yeah. Uh, So let's move on. Seamless integration for web and mobile. Yeah, interesting topic. I very like it uh, because they demonstrated a couple of new experimental features. Yeah, and one of them, if you remember, before Flutter for Web could work only mm, as full application for your browser. Yeah, now and new master channel. No, not new. Just if you take Flutter from master channel, because for the unstable channel it doesn't work, you can try this experimental thing, and you can embed your Flutter application inside your web application as a div element. Mm, and there a new Dart language feature that you can just add annotation to your Dart method, and your Dart method will be available in your JS code, native JS code, and you can very easy just call your Dart methods from uh, JavaScript. I will
So,
demonstrate
so
you.
long story short, generally, what it gives us is the support that you in your existing application you can add the Flutter web application in the way that it communicate with your existing application. So you have, for example, a module which you create for mobile and you would like to port it to the web. This is much easier right now than previously.
I will for the us who haven't watched keynotes. I will demonstrate you examples that Tim Smith demonstrated uh, to attendees. Let me share other page. Okay. Yeah, can you see it? Yeah. You see just Flutter application inside a simple static HTML page, HTML CSS page with some buttons. And what can we do? We can work with Flutter as usual Flutter application. We can uh, contact your Flutter application from JavaScript because it's a JavaScript button, it's a native button, and I push the button and change the state of Flutter application. Yeah. Uh, what else? I can, uh, for example, add CSS effect to my Flutter application, like add shadow, resize. Uh, resize here is just change the size of div component. Mirroring and spin, for example, and speed of spin can be changed. It's very,
Yeah,
it looks very nice.
and
Uh,
one question: when you
uh-huh.
spin, what happened when you change the value 10? We can
You
see
can
that
see.
it's also changing.
Yeah, and you can, for example, add the text to here and spin it, and it works.
To be
Yeah.
honest, I'm a little bit scared to entering password in this kind of rotating field, but
So after we watched such functionality, we decided to do some investigation how it will work with web frameworks, because this example only just static HTML, CSS, and we tried to integrate a Flutter application to a React implemented page, and we were successful. I will show you. Mhm. Okay, 2 seconds. If you remember, a couple of years ago, we implemented a small game like uh, Nintendo game for one of our conference, and I know that developer who implemented this game also watched us right now. Hello, Victor. So Victor just uh, updated the application to the last version of Flutter because it was implemented when Flutter was at like 1 point. I don't exactly remember. Uh, a lot of changes was added to Flutter since that time, and like null safety, everything. Flame was changed. Oh, we lost Michal. Let's wait, and he'll join back. I will resume while we wait for him. So, and we just took this game, added it to the React application. As you can see, we still have no design. That's why we create only simple React application without design. Now you can see only one React button. And this is not the game, this is screenshot. But when I run game, I will run Flutter application that's still not run. Run up, and now we have Flutter, and we can control our like game person, play our player by Flutter buttons, and also use React buttons, and everything works. Yep. Yeah. Also, we can make it full screen, back to small screen, and control this div wherever we want using React opportunities. It's a really nice thing. Uh, the next one probably I want. I lost my camera again. Uh-huh. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. The next experiment, I want to try to add more than one Flutter application to one page, and we'll see what possible or not. So we're still in progress in this investigation. I will see what we will get, but it's really also mind-blowing feature to use Flutter as a part of real complex web solutions. This way, we can just uh, combine some opportunities of Flutter and opportunities of native web frameworks. And this way, we can use SEO. It was a really big issue of Flutter for web that the SEO is doesn't work there, and you need to do like workarounds to get work of SEO. Now you can
You can do the
implement
work.
something with native, something with Flutter, and everything will work together.
Yeah, and generally it will allow us to solve this big problem with SEO which we had in Flutter. So it's also big improvement. So
Let's
let's
back
switch to
to
next
slides back.
features.
Yeah. Okay, slides here again. Let's move on. Oh, yeah. Demo time
We are
is
already after
over,
demo.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk about seamless integration for web and mobile. Yeah, there is a new opportunity. I don't remember. Yeah, new opportunity to of interoperability uh, between Dart and Android and iOS. Uh, in past, you could use only platform channel, this asynchronous solutions, and as I understood, I haven't tried it yet myself. But in description, as you can see, you can uh, generate API to call Swift and Objective-C libraries and Android and Kotlin libraries directly using FFI channel and using FFI gen and GenI gen bridge to call them directly without any channels, because channel is it's nice thing, but also from performance point of view, something else, it's asynchronous and it's not very fast. Serialization, deserialization, etc. And here, after mm, implementing completely this experimental feature, you will be able to call everything directly.
So generally you are able, for example, to even use the component which is the native directly in Flutter. For example, we can use Jetpack Compose. We can use some iOS libraries or Jetpack to manage the stuff. And this is, let's say, with much better performance because we have this cross-platform bindings which allow us to play like with the APIs which we have in Flutter.
So let's move on. Yeah, I like this feature as well. Yeah. Flutter now.
Spoilers, man, spoilers. You should remove the there is the features on the right. Yeah.
Yeah. So they added support of WebAssembly and RISC CV. Uh, we will discuss a little bit later, but one fun fact that I figured out after adding support of WebAssembly. Do you remember the constant K is web and how it works? Just they just checked identical of 0 and 0.0 because in JavaScript they are identical. And when Dart compiled to JavaScript, case web true because in JavaScript 0, 0.0 is equal. For other platforms, it's not true because they are not identical. It looks really hacky, but it always worked nice.
It's a JavaScript, man, so sorry.
And in Flutter 3.7, I found that the implementation of case web is different now. Ta-ta! Now they're checking environment variable, Dart library JS util. And if this variable is true, it means it's web. And the very fun comment of approval of this change. Rest in peace, my hacky friend. Yeah, people in Flutter team has a like
Good level of humor, for sure.
yes, good level of humor. Yeah.
But I'm thinking how they solve the other issues in JavaScript. Like like for example, if you add array and object and vice versa object plus array, it's also something different. So it's even not common like in math. We when we switch the stuff with plus, we usually get the same. Not in JavaScript.
Yeah, but
One is
I haven't
probably empty.
described the
Yeah,
meaning of this change. Why they had to remove this hacker approach? Yeah, because they are preparing to adding WebAssembly support. And
yeah,
WebAssembly 0 and 0.0 not identical, but it will work on web. That's why
yeah.
in WebAssembly case web will show wrong value. That's why they decided to change it. Because now not everything that we will have on web will be JavaScript.
But Alexander, imagine that you have the logic which you use
Mhm.
on mobile and you use it on web, and you discover this funny thing during the testing. Why?
Yeah. And now we have a map of supported platforms. Yeah. By the way, did you have any experience with risk or RISC-V?
Not yet, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah, it's some kind of processors technology. Yeah, and yeah, I also have no experience with them, but we'll see. They added such support. I think we will do some investigation in this direction as well.
We will discover the new products from Google probably quite soon, which require this support.
Oh, Risk 5. Yeah, thank you, Max. Hmm. Because I really haven't met it before. That's why I don't know how it pronounced correctly. Yeah.
Risk 5.
Hmm. Uh-huh. And
Some
let's move on. Yeah, it's just description about it. Canvas kit minus Kia plus WebAssembly, and a lot of description of which kind of features now we can get with WebAssembly. Yeah, and this example of a RISC-V device. Yes, it's Clockwork Pi Deftim and Flutter application. Not Flutter. Dart console app. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going
So
on the green screens. Yeah.
and enough about Flutter. Let's talk about Dart. Uh, I want to highlight that these changes also haven't published to stable channels as well. They only in master channel. That's why it was named not Dart 3.0, but Dart 3.0 Alpha. But the improvement sounds very nice. For example, the first one, record type. Uh, Record type is like some kind of data type. And you can create records now and just play with them. You can create easily inline functions that will be able to return more than one value, and yeah, a lot of interesting thing. And you can see here is a link. If you follow this link, you can try to play with this version of Dart to check. It's really good improvement that can save a lot of rows of code and time of code. And of course, its syntax is sugar, but uh, Michael, can you compare such new feature with Kotlin, for example?
To be honest, come on, pattern matching and stuff like that we have already in Kotlin from long time ago. But maybe I will say something different. Generally, when I start my journey with Flutter, and I have, let's say, first experience with Dart, uh, to generally not only try it but try to learn it. And during my first programs in Flutter, I discovered, come on, this lang do not have this feature, this feature, this feature. It generally looks like Java 1.3, yeah, something really old. And if we take a look at the Dart now, even, or these features of the Darts, we can say that this lang done really big improvement and is, let's say, in almost first line of all modern langs like Kotlin, Swift, etc. If we are talking about the mobile world, uh, and this shows that we as a developers can start using the features which we know from the other language, and let's say write the code in the same style like we done it previously for native approach, uh, for example, or from different platforms. So the entry point uh, in Flutter is to Flutter is much lower right now, in my opinion, than when we had the version even 1.0, not, let's say, before the stable Flutter.
What else? Null safety. I already shared something about null safety, and as I remember, it was announced few version of Dart before, but
Yeah.
here is a little bit different. There is a difference because it's 100% sound null safety. Yeah.
So we are
Before, it was Dart
hearing
free.
this nidal safety, as I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, before it was partially unsound null safety because they needed to keep compatibility,
Yeah.
and you could switch off null safety and work without it. After Dart
Mm-hmm.
3.0, you won't be able, only with null safety. And it is not only about syntaxic sugar, of course. It's also very much about performance. Here you can see the number of commands in assembler, how long uh, operation was executed before uh, Dart 3.0 and after Dart 3.0 because they could remove checks null. And before unsound null safety, here were much more commands. Like
Mm-hmm.
here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And before null safety, it was about 20, as I remember. And now 1, 2, 3. You don't need any checking, any check. That's why it will work faster. And you won't need to do any changes if you already implemented null safety. It will be just faster.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you need to prepare if you don't support the new null safety to generally address the Dart free when it comes to stable version. And this can be a challenge for many old, if we can name the Flutter applications old, but something which you start created even before null safety, and you had a lot of uh, code which is not prepared yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
be aware of that.
There is a really interesting problem when I tried to just launch Catch the Dash when I took it from repository. It was not easy because yeah, now safety was added. A lot of libraries was changed. Version of Xcode changed many times,
Hmm.
and yeah, everything in one bowl. Mm, and you just can't run your old application, and you have to just rewrite it step by step to just to have opportunity to run. Mm, okay, vertical toolkits. Yeah,
Flutter
yeah,
News Toolkit.
yeah.
What we
Please.
can say? So generally, we have almost a ready code to create the news application, and I'm expecting this kind of, let's say, accelerators. We can expect more and more from Flutter. But to be honest, if you are not doing some POC for your news system, or this is something really huge in case of news application, I will still recommend you to rethink uh, and maybe decide to write it from scratch. This is, let's say, good for small applications or something which we can name some POC to check if our news, for example, about Flutter, which we can share on our blog post in form of the application can be also useful for someone. But if you have existing big service or existing application, for example, in React Native or even in Flutter, switching to this toolkit, it's not easy decision. Let's name it like that.
Yeah. Yep. So it's a summary. Yeah, just directions that I mentioned in the beginning, and which functionality were implemented in this direction. Breakthrough graphics performance, impeller, shaders for web, 3D support, uh, for integrations, element embedding, and gen and 5gen. Uh, yeah,
Generally better integration with the existing native code for the platforms. We are talking here about the mobile ones.
yeah, support of new architectures, WebAssembly and RISC-V, and yeah, improvements for developer experience. So there are links to articles on Medium and um, recording on YouTube with keynote highlights, breakout sessions, a lot of basic information. You can follow all links, read everything, follow links and watch everything. Yeah, and we have 15 more minutes to answer your questions if you have. Oh, I have one question already. Good
This is
question.
not the question, but good suggestion. To be honest, I would like to see uh, Flutter with WebAssembly in React Native.
Mhm.
This can
Okay.
be this
For
can be
example,
good party.
you can create React Native application for someone using Flutter. For example, if you have no experience with React Native, but you can, oh yeah, I can implement in React Native, but really implement in Flutter, just add it to React Native.
It's some option for your, let's say, new business, but yeah. Uh, expecting that if you have mobile application in Flutter and any kind of service in React Native, in Angular or whatever, you can always think about reuse the code and use Flutter.
Mhm. So let's wait a little bit, uh, because probably the delay. And
Not big one, man.
let us discuss. What do you think? Which improvements do you like more? What improvement is
Uh,
the mind blowing and the best one? That
to be honest, for me, as I mentioned somewhere during this presentation, the biggest one is that Flutter start addressing the, the business the use cases from business perspective where we were not able to apply Flutter, and this is, I think, awesome that we can see that okay, they are working on WebAssembly, they have new engine like Impeller, 3D support, uh, and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
in case of 3D, we can start using Flutter for gaming.
Yeah, and we have already question about gaming. Ah, I lost my. When we see the implementation of modern Flutter 3D.
How many free ifs do you have? Maybe we can implement one.
Yeah. We
Who
can
knows?
start tomorrow.
Okay.
But it will be unstable on master channel. Probably as soon as a 3D feature will be added to stable channel, we'll see. Yeah, because I saw the code of the project with example of 3D models. They just work with files containing 3D models. There are some update for PubSpec YAML. There are part of
Mm-hmm.
there is added part with name models,
Mm-hmm.
like assets, but not assets, at models. And there you can add 3D model with extension GLB.
Mm-hmm.
And then in code, you can just play with them. Just it's not, you not paint 3D model in Flutter code. You can provide 3D model to there and play with them. So it's not too complicated if somebody create 3D models for Doom, because I'm not a expert in creation of 3D models. Then you can just implement the logic. Uh,
Yeah. So
More questions? Mhm. No more questions, but yeah, this set of improvements is very big. I don't remember where the previous time such amount of improvements and updates was added. Uh, yes, they're still in master channel, yeah, and it's necessary to wait when they will be stable. But
Hmm.
looks everything looks very perspective. Yeah. Um, Question
Okay, we
five,
have
Max.
questions from Max, which is easy to answer and at the same time not easy to answer. Impeller is already supported only by iOS, so it's difficult to say if this issue will be fixed for all the platforms.
But as I
Unfortunately,
remember, the most the most powerful effect uh, was exactly on iOS. And as I
yeah,
remember, some like products decided to move back to native from Flutter after meeting this issue.
yep.
Yeah, and probably this is a reason why they concentrated on iOS firstly. Mm.
Expecting yes, and as I mentioned also previously, that the fact that they do not control iOS. So they need to check if everything is possible in the way how they design it. So yeah, uh, let's say the problem we can say is I think solved, but or at least not that big one because generally we saw only let's say one example. Uh, let's name it like that. Uh, and to be honest, I am a little bit worried about the Android implementation because on Android, on the other hand, we have the graphic engines, uh, and most of them, mostly when we are considering the fragmentation of the Android, can cause that we cannot, let's say, use, for example, the Vulkan features, etc., on the older models. So some workarounds will be required, which they mention to support some older stuffs. Uh, they mentioned this during the conference. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
expecting if we will switch to Impeller, we can have, let's say, a little bit different experience of it on the, let's say, last three Android versions and the older ones. And as we know, even the stats of the market shows that we need to sometimes support more than two, three last versions.
I can just guarantee you one thing after moving to Impeller. I suppose all uh, golden test will fall. Yeah, because I think there is a little small difference between pixels. Now,
Yeah,
sometimes the difference is not small. I saw like tweets, or I don't remember exactly where I saw it, that if you run application with impeller and without impeller, there will be a like difference that you sometimes just can see by your eyes. Uh, mm,
but this is also probably caused by some optimizations because here in Impeller we are playing with a little bit different way of generating of the content. So Skia was created to have this structure of the widgets. Here we are rather thinking about the screen as a whole thing to be rendered.
yeah. So, if we have no more question, uh, the time is almost over. To be honest, it's 5 minutes before the end of time presentation. Thank you very much for attendance. Yeah, it was very nice to see all of you. Uh, not see,
On the
not
chat,
in
come
person.
on.
Yeah, yeah, in the chat. Yeah, we see you in the chat, and we see that you with us together. So, see you on next event.
So see you
Uh,
guys
yeah,
and thank you.
and if you want to try something uh, from news that we published today. Just try. If you will have question, just ping us. Probably we could help because we already tried some of them and investigate some things. Yeah. See you.
See you guys.